Hey everyone, welcome back to another ArmSoar video. My name is Thomas and today I'm very excited to show you guys our brand new Medina. So what is the Medina? Well, first off, we have two options. Number one, it's the F3L or F3-RES version, and the second one is the F5-RES. So what does that mean? So F3-RES means it is launched off a bungee. It's a 2-meter wingspan model, and what RES stands for is rudder elevator spoiler. So it's a very, very simple plane to fly. And the rules call for pretty much it's got to be built out of balsa with some minimal carbon fiber in parts like the boom. You can use carbon for the spar and leading edge, but there's not a lot of other places where you can use composite materials. So that helps keep the cost down. And on the F5-RES version, that is the same thing, except it has a motor on it, so you don't have to use a bungee. It's electric assist for launching. So F3-RES has been around for a while now, and it's getting very, very popular, especially in Europe and in many parts of the US. And most of the people are building these from kits. Either they design and build their own kits from scratch, or they're buying kits, and a lot of these kits are made in Europe. There's some from Australia. There's a few really good ones from the US as well. But it takes a lot of time to build. I think for most people, it's going to take you about 2 weeks of evenings after work to, come home. After dinner, you're going to spend a few hours per night working on these, building it piece by piece. And a lot of us just don't have the time to do that. I've heard from a lot of people that, hey, I really want to fly F3-RES or F5-RES, but I just don't have time to build. And that includes me. I want to fly. Building is very, very fun, especially when you have time for it. But a lot of times I just don't have time. And I think that's the same for a lot of you. And so we came up with an idea of doing an ARF version. Now, you're probably thinking there's a lot of ARF gliders out there, and what ARF means, it's almost ready to fly. So you don't have to take each piece of balsa to stick it all together and in cover and everything. So a lot of that is done for you. Yeah, there are a lot of ARF gliders out there, but none of them are really competitive. So what we wanted to do was something that was, number one, it is ARF, so it's very convenient, and it is going to be very, very competitive. So we have a lot of experience designing high performance competition gliders, but we've never really designed a balsa glider from scratch. Our first one was the Phantom, and it really opened our eyes to how difficult it actually is. I mean, the skill sets required are completely different, especially the mechanical parts. And so what we did is we partnered with performance models in Australia. What they came up with is the ARF, and it's been out for about a year now, and it's dominated, I think, the past 11 contests in Australia. And it's being won by different people. It's not just the same person flying the ARF and winning. It's being flown by multiple people and winning all these back-to-back events in Australia. And we're good friends with Marcus. They already sell our products in Australia. So we figured, hey, you know what? Let's work together. We're gonna take the ARF, we do a couple of small modifications to it, and we're gonna take that design and make it into an ARF, something that is gonna be just freaking awesome to fly. But who's going to put all this together and make this into an actual ARF that people can buy? So we partnered up with Aeromaster, which you guys might know Shady. He's the owner, and he flies a lot of F3K. So he flies for ArmSoar team as well. So you might know him if you've been traveling around to some competitions. So the three of us, we put all our experience together, all of our resources, and this is what we came up with. So I want to show you all the little parts and all the bits and pieces so you know what comes with this model. And before we go into detail, I do want to talk to you a little bit about the covering. Now, all of these are covered really, really nicely. Even right now, you can tell it's very, very nice, but it's almost flawless when it comes out of the factory. But anyone who's bought an ARF will know it doesn't matter how flawless it is when it was covered, halfway around the world 3 weeks ago, because when it gets to you in a completely different climate, it is going to introduce a little bit of wrinkles here or there that you'll need to touch up, and that's completely normal. So all you need to do is take the covering iron that you probably already own and just run it over a couple of these spots, and that's going to be perfect again. Now for this one, on purpose, I did not do any touch-ups yet, so you can see what it looks like as it comes out of the box. And for those of you who don't have a covering iron, to be honest, even if you don't do any touch-ups, it's already better than 99% of the covering jobs that people will be able to do at home. So let's start off with this little baggie, and this is the boring stuff, but let's get it out of the way. So these are the joiners. These are the joiners for the wingtips. You'll see 4 little rods, and these are for the tails. I'll show you how those are used later. So the spoiler uses 2 rubber bands, but we do include a lot of extras so that, if something breaks in the future, you have something for replacement. We have 3 servo trays. So this one is for X08s, 2 X08s. This one is if you want to use X06s, which I will be using. And this one is just the more generic one. If you're using a slightly larger servo, you can choose this one. Some stuff has already dropped out. So these 2 washers plus this bolt and this bolt, these are to hold down the wings onto the nose. These are the 2 control horns for the tails. And these are the 2 hooks for the rubber band on the spoiler. So let's start with the center panel. So this is the main panel for the wing. You'll see there's 2 holes here. These are for the bolts that would be mounted onto the fuselage. This main panel right here is the spoiler. And you'll see over here and over here, there are 2 slots. And basically when you're doing the installation, you'll lift this up and you would glue these hooks into those slots for the rubber band. In terms of construction, you will see this is a very thin plywood trailing edge. There's a thick, beefy carbon spar in the center. There are 4 joiner tubes here to be attached to the wingtips. And there is a carbon leading edge right here. So the way you join the center panel to the wingtips is you slide these carbon tubes in here. And then you take the wingtip, you line it up, you slide it in, and then you tape over it. 1 strip on top and 1 strip on the bottom. So let's just take this back apart first. And we'll quickly take a look at these wingtips. So of course it comes as a pair. There's a left side, there's a right side. Even though it's a 5-panel polyhedral wing, the 2 other panels are already joined together for you. And it's still very, very short. So in terms of convenience, this will pack down very nicely. So next, let's take a look at the tails. Now these are V-tails, so there's only 2 panels. These come fully hinged and ready to go. You'll see here that there is a little slot, and this is for the control horn for you to slip in and drop a couple drops of CA glue in there during the build. And you'll see here there's 2 tubes, and this is for the mounts. So let's take a look at the boom first and I'll show you how it's mounted. So this is the tail boom for the Medina, and this is the rear part. And you'll see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 holes already pre-drilled for you. Now, this is one of the things that would be changed on the production version. This is still a slightly wider slot. On the production version, it's going to be a little bit narrower because we don't need it to be as wide for pull strings. And these 4 on the top and these 4 on the bottom are going to be for these little carbon rods. So the short ones go in the front like this. And the long ones go in the back like this. And you put on a couple drops of CA and you just sand it down a little bit on the other end. You repeat this on the other side. And voila, that's ready for the tails to be assembled. So this is going to be glued in. This is part of the tail boom and it's all pre-drilled at the proper angles for you. So when you're at the field and you want to put this together, you just line up these slots. The long one goes here. The short one goes there. Push it on, a piece of tape here and a piece of tape on the bottom. Again, of course, the little excess here, you'll just sand off. Next, let's take a look at the fuselage. So as you can see, it comes sanded really, really nicely, very streamlined. And this is a magnetic hatch. So it slips in the front, comes together, and a magnet holds it closed. The version I have in my hand is the electric version, F5-RES. So it comes with a motor mount in here, and that's ready for our ArmSoar 1806 powertrains. That gets put in. You put the screws in through the back. Obviously it's completely wired. Our powertrains come fully wired and programmed. And you put on the spinner and the propeller, and that's ready to go. There's no soldering involved. There's no programming involved. Super easy. And this is all sanded perfectly smooth to match the CN spinners. Here in the rear is where the boom is going to be put in. So during the build, all you need to do is put the boom into the rear of the fuselage. And I think for the next part, you'll probably want to have everything mounted. So you'll mount the center panel on, and then you'll have the V-tail on as well. And you just line it up, make sure everything is straight, and you put in some CA here, let it wick in, let it cure, take off the wing, put some more CA in here, and that's done. So in terms of assembly, this model is mostly done for you. All you really need to do is put this boom onto the fuselage. You'll put the dowels into here, glue it in, file it a little bit, and then you just need to put in the servos, screw in your powertrain, run the linkages for the tails, which is pull string. So again, super easy. Mount the servo in the wing for the spoiler, put on some rubber bands, and you're ready to balance and go fly this model. As I'm saying that, I realized I don't have the wires and the spring in this hardware set yet, but don't worry, you will have that in the production version. And the last part is for those who are getting the bungee versions, you'll note that on the bottom here is a spot for your tow hook. Now this is the prototype version, and the production version is going to be a little bit different, so it's not exactly what you see here. And to round everything up, these are the two final pieces included in the kit. Number one is the sticker pack. There's the Medina, ArmSoar, and AeroMaster glider, and there's a little bag of covering here, so you know, if you're anything like me and you poke a hole in your covering and you need to do a repair, you are going to be completely color matched. So that basically covers the Medina ARF, and these are now available for pre-order. So it's on our website, armsoar.com. You can pre-order it there. Now the pre-order lasts until May 15th or until our batch 1 is sold out. So in the first batch, we have 210 models. We started the pre-order this morning and we're left with, I think, 39 models as of the filming of this video. So by the time you're watching this video, it's going to be less than that. So if there is still any more slots in the pre-order, make sure go and get your slot before everything is sold out. And for these first orders, we're going to be shipping in June. And if you prefer to buy it from your local vendor, we do have a list of our distributors on our website. I'll link it down below. And if you're in Australia or New Zealand, of course, because this is a project with performance models, hop onto their website. It's going to be linked down below as well, and you can order it directly from Performance Models if you're in Australia or New Zealand. All right, so that's it for today's video. Make sure you like, make sure you hit subscribe, and if you really enjoy it, share it with your friends, all right? Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.